Hi, I'm Ryan Terramano Tyler. Welcome to my channel. This is my very first podcast. My channel and my information is about finance and how it impacts our life. We're going to talk about the inner flow of politics, economics, culture. I want to give you a perspective of empires, how they rise and fall, and how history can give us a clue on how to live our lives. Before I do that, before we talk about looking for patterns and helping us live our lives better, I want to tell you how I got here. My background and career was along the finance route. I got an MBA and I started on the banking and then investment banking route. And had a career on Wall Street, was doing mergers and acquisitions, and eventually I made a transition in my career, and I would basically describe it as I'm an accidental teacher, an accidental professor, and how these things happen. But while I was doing investment banking, one of the things that I needed to develop was helping other bankers identify opportunities looking in their markets. So I started to speak more, do public speaking, and talk with people. And I had to take a lot of sophisticated financial analysis type things and just sort of break them down into an understandable way so that people can utilize it and apply it to their lives. Take something that was specific, but make it applicable to how we lived our lives so we could have a better quality of life, so we could learn how to manage, navigate, invest, things like that. And it came naturally to me. I liked doing it. I started to have more and more bankers and people want to hear my speeches and presentations and training. And I found I really liked it and I was really interested in it. And one day a senior executive said, I've heard about your courses and your classes, and I'd like to attend. I've heard really good things about it. And I was a senior person and I really thought, okay, maybe I'm pretty good at this, I guess, if he wants to be there. So I went along that way. And eventually then, when I moved out to California, I worked in a university setting and worked with a lot of young people, and sort of the same thing, sort of how to do fundraising, how to do Wall Street, things like that. And I just found I really enjoyed working with young minds, aspiring people doing those kinds of things. And my lovely wife, Kelly, would often say, as well as my dad, who recently passed away, you should be a teacher, you should be a professor, you should be an instructor, those kinds of things. And I've always thought about it, but I kept along the banking and the finance and the fundraising route. Then, in an international language school, which I'm a part of, I met some of the students who actually stayed with us in our home. And same sort of thing, I would just sort of help them with their English and their business and those types of things, their business studies. And they were saying, you ought to teach, those kinds of things. So I really am an accidental instructor. Now, how this has come along in many ways is my former students, and actually some current students as well, had suggested that I do a podcast or a channel in a way to stay connected. And as part of this language school, I have literally had hundreds of students from dozens of countries in the last 4 years. I have connected with people from Switzerland to Sweden to Saudi Arabia, from Germany to Netherlands to Canada, China, Chile, all over the world. And so my perspective is one of looking at global studies, looking at finance, looking at money, how does it impact our lives? But we also will touch on things like relationships and how we can learn from the mistakes of other people and how we can learn to be stoic and to be more resilient in our lives. These types of things, these topics have come up with hundreds of my students, and I've just found that it's a way in the end to help us live our lives better. And I have a backdrop towards investing, portfolio management, cryptocurrencies, understanding money and banking, those kinds of things. We take those topics, but we also dive into how we can see trends along the empires, the rise and fall of the various empires, looking internationally, also looking at money and credit and how in the end it really is based on confidence and trust in a system. And we can see this in some countries very well run, say, for example, like Switzerland. In the end, the bottom line is people trust each other. And those types of things translate into commerce, translate into confidence in currency, translate into doing business transactions, those types of topics. So with respect to my students and the fact that they've asked me to do this, I want to start this where we look at finance and how it affects our lives, politics, economics, culture, the way empires grow and change and modify, how it impacts our life, our career decisions, our currency decisions, even our relationship decisions on timing and those types of things, as well as how to put together a portfolio, how to navigate given all these circumstances. Because in the end, it's interesting to study history and it's interesting to study what we can from the past, but in the end, how does it translate into my life? How does it make it better? And there's a lot of great things with, especially with younger people today. So we go down the Gen Y and millennials, Gen Z, all the way through and down, as well as up in the other generations. But there's a tendency to want to get to the bottom line, understand it. How does my life change for the better? How can I navigate this? Give me some confidence by looking at the past and applying it to the present and planning for the future. That's where I want to go with this channel. I want to have your input and learn and take portfolios and understand cryptocurrencies and understand non-traditional assets that we can invest in so that we can have a more prosperous life, is also a life where we can give more of ourselves and be ourselves. So my journey has taken me from Wall Street to teaching in an international school where I focus on language as well as business. And I also am a finance professor, and I try to bring a cutting edge Wall Street perspective, but also from the idea that I've seen some history in my life. And my dad lived a couple generations ago. So from his perspectives, and I want to bring that to you so you can understand and live a more confident life by looking at these aspects. So welcome to my channel. It's indeed my pleasure and honor to be with you guys. I can't wait to communicate more with all my international students and friends and future subscribers. Thank